Welcome to Dodger Stadium. I'm Kevin Cuenca reporting for CBS Los Angeles, and this will be the home of Game 5 of the World Series as the Dodgers now trail 3-1 after that devastating 9-6 loss last night, a game that they led 4-0. And in that 6th inning, with that lead, that was a circumstance that the Dodgers had been in 54 times this season. They had never lost a game like that. They'd never lost a game where they were up 4 or more runs, and yet that's exactly what happened in Game 4 of the World Series. So now the Dodgers got to try to regroup, get one at home, and push this World Series back to Boston for Game 6 and a possible Game 7 as well. We are basically hanging out on the field at Dodger Stadium. A lot of media members here, as Danny Ayala, our photographer, is going to give you just a look at the scene. And this is essentially where we are going to be showcasing some behind the scenes for you guys on the CBS Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter as well. And then after we're all done, it will be on the CBS LA website as well. A lot to show you guys throughout this next half hour, hour and a half. However long they tell this monkey to dance, I'm going to dance, and that's what we're going to do. Right now, it looks like the field is being prepared for batting practice as they've put the cages up. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to start. A better reporter would probably know that time, but I don't, and you guys are kind of stuck with me now. So alongside this field, as Danny's giving you a look here, we've got the ESPN Baseball Tonight crew setting up. Looks like Carl Ravitch, Tim Kirkston, and a couple other guys there on set as they get ready to do this broadcast. As you guys can see, it's quite the setup. Danny's literally transmitting a live picture from a backpack, and these guys have a whole truck full of equipment there as they get ready to go on their Baseball Tonight set. Got a nice little bat and some balls there as well, and production crew members wondering what the hell are these guys doing creeping up on us like this. We are actually right at the steps of the dugout, trying to stay out of the way as much as possible. If you watched yesterday, you saw us get kicked out of shooting some Red Sox players, and that's essentially what we're going for here. We're trying to push the envelope, go as far as we can without getting kicked out of the game. We don't mind being kicked out of certain spots. We're just not trying to get kicked out of the actual game. But we're going to toe that line, and we're going to walk that line for you guys to try to give you the best behind-the-scenes access as we can. Danny, I'd like to give them a little look at the dugout here as reporters and camera folk and production members are trying to stay out of the sun, really. I mean, they're trying to stay in the shade and hang out. You guys can get a look at where the Dodgers will be tonight for Game 5 as they try to pull within one game and make this 3-2 and head back to Boston. Danny's getting a really creepy shot of Alana Rizzo right now, and she's just trying to relax and hang out, and yet Danny's just bugging her and getting all in her personal space. Danny's just getting some behind-the-scenes look for CBS, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of the above. See, that's what I was trying to do, and then Danny just crept up in your space, right? I mean, so Alana never leaves games, even if they go 18 innings, and then she gives me a lot of mess when I do, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't mind putting up with that. But as we walk through this dugout now and give you a look at where the Dodgers bats will be tonight, and hopefully they come alive. The Dodgers were able to score 5 of their 6 runs last night on home runs. Kike Hernandez with the 2-run shot, Yasiel Puig with the 3-run homer, and you can see all their helmets in there as well. The Dodgers scored that 6th and final run, or their first run, but the other run off of an throwing error. So really outside of that throwing error, the Dodgers scored all their runs off of homers last night. They had a couple homers the game before that too. So I think the question tonight is whether they'll be able to give Kershaw the kind of run support that he will need against a very tough Red Sox lineup that has shown time and time again that they are up for the task and that they will do whatever it takes, getting guys over, hitting with 2 outs, hitting with runners in scoring position. It's almost like you've got one way of doing things on the Red Sox and another way of doing things on the Dodgers in terms of the way that they approach their at-bats. And you can see throughout this series the Dodgers take longer swings, they're going for home runs, they're trying to drive the ball with power. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I think you can't really fault the offense last night. Anytime you put up 5 earned runs, 6 runs total, you're doing a good thing there. You're doing a decent job. I think a lot of the criticism last night and the story of the game was, hey, did Rich Hill get pulled too early? Is Dave Roberts mismanaging the bullpen, etc.? And but as far as the fault on the offense, it's pretty tough to put that on the shoulders of the offense when you give 6 runs of support. Unfortunately, the Red Sox bats came alive through those last 3 innings and absolutely just, they were on fire. I mean, there's really no other way around it. They took advantage of Ryan Madsen. They took advantage of Kenley Jansen and Kenta Maeda. All these guys really struggled against the Red Sox lineup, something that Rich Hill didn't struggle with. He had only given up 1 hit when he left the game at 91 pitches. He'd thrown 58 for strikes. He'd struck out 7 batters, had 3 walks, but seemed to still be in control of that game. Dave Roberts mentioned afterward in the post-game interviews that Rich Hill had come up to him between innings and said, hey, look, just watch me. I'm starting to tire out a little bit. And so that was what came before him pulling Rich Hill out of that game. But he certainly had a lot of questions to answer afterwards about that because of that decision. And, you know, anytime the bullpen doesn't do what it's supposed to do, a lot of that is going to fall on Dave Roberts and then, of course, the individual members of that pen. So that was last night, and it was definitely a tough loss and took a lot of the energy out of this place. And it'll be interesting to see not only in this dugout in terms of the players and their energy, what it's like for them trying to rebound from that, essentially with their backs against the wall. This is, we say, a must-win game. You hear that cliche all the time in sports, but this truly is a must-win. The last thing the Dodgers want is for 2 years in a row another team to celebrate a World Series championship on their field, and that would happen if they were not to win tonight. So they will certainly, or they should certainly come out with a fire tonight and give this their all and try to get this series back to Boston. And then once they do that, who knows what can happen out there. Maybe some of the pressure starts to creep back onto Boston, especially if you win a Game 6 out there. But that's way ahead of the game. Right now, they got to focus on tonight and getting this Game 5 that will start at 5:09, which is about 3 hours and 9 minutes from right now. And let's, I'm going to actually pull up my phone here and check out. I've got the CBS Facebook page up because I want to be able to interact with some of you guys as we do this. And we need to turn this down so I don't hear myself talking, which is super awkward. But bear with me here as I pull this app up and go through some of these comments so far. As Taryn Poole chimes in with, we need better pitching decisions, and that's certainly something that was talked about at length last night. That really was the theme of the game, both with the national media and the local press as well. As Dave Roberts, what are we doing? And really, who knows if that's ultimately his decision, if it's Friedman, the GM. You just don't really know who's ultimately making that call, how much input Rick Honeycutt gets. You just never really know in terms of the way that they break down those decisions. But Taryn, you're certainly right in terms of it came back to bite them last night. And that was really the theme of the post-game interviews and comments and all that. We've got people checking in from Massachusetts, Boston on here as well. So at some point, this comment section is going to fall apart, and it's just going to be people yelling at each other. But hopefully we can maintain the calm, maintain the peace, and stay civil throughout this day and this behind-the-scenes look right here from the dugout at Dodger Stadium. I like how Shannon was the first one to chime in. I'm going to say her last name and probably mess it up, but it's Drapu, saying we don't give up. And I think that's the theme and the emotion that the Dodgers need to have in this game is we don't give up. I feel like we've cornered a photographer here, and we need to let him through because he was just patiently waiting for the last few minutes. Thank you, sir. I didn't realize you were there. Thank you. We're just, like I said, we're going to toe that line, and until we get kicked out of this place, we're going to go up against it. Stop taking out a hot pitcher, Roberts. Adam Castille checks in with that, and I think that was. I know Jim Hill, our sports director, was in the post-game interview session asking those similar questions. Was, what were you thinking, Dave? And that's, I think, I was sitting next to Danny, our photographer, upstairs in the stands while this was going on, and we were thinking the same thing. Like, you've got Rich Hill, this hot pitcher in, you take him out for another lefty who just promptly walks the next batter, and then things start to fall apart with Ryan Madsen. So I think, it's easy for us to sit back and say, hey, that was the wrong decision after it was made. But I think there's also something to be said for if a guy's going and he's pitching well and the Red Sox haven't figured him out yet and you're up 4-0, like, why are we going to him so early? Why are we going to this bullpen so early, especially if it hasn't, especially if some of the guys in the bullpen haven't been your strongest pitchers? Again, you're bringing in Kenley Jansen in the 8th inning like they did the game before. I just think it's one of those things where we have to start to adjust to the way that guys are playing now as opposed to what the numbers have said about how they've played in the past. And I think that's the thing, is you've got this battle between feel for the game and then the analytics. And I think a lot of times the Dodgers weigh on the side of analytics. But as we go through this comment section, feel free to check in either with something that you guys want to see on the field, so we can take you into either dugout, we can take you along behind the backstop as well. And of course, once batting practice starts, hopefully it will start while we're doing this, and if it does, of course, we'll show you some of that as well. The MLB Network has a setup as well. Remember, that's where we saw Walker Buehler being interviewed yesterday, and he was wearing his Tupac Dodgers shirt, which is really cool. I didn't expect to see that from the 24-year-old right-handed slinger. So, if you guys want to leave a comment for what you'd like to see from the stadium down on the field level, let us know. And feel free to fire away with any questions as well. I'll try to interact with you guys as much as I can as I go through these, but please do bear with me. This is actually the first time we've done this kind of thing. We did this kind of a behind-the-scenes look yesterday, but there wasn't the interaction with Facebook. So bear with me as I go through on this. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to fire away, and I'll try to get through them as best as I can. Your voice is a sound of a towel in the ring. The people are right. Pitching moves are not working. That was Jose Felix. Check it in. You guys are giving some great insight and some comments in these as I read through these. You can tell the passion that you guys all have for your Dodgers, and then the Red Sox fans as well checking in. Marky from Makeup is asking, can I borrow your press pass? And Marky, I will say this. If I could, I might. Because I might have to do the morning show tomorrow at 4 a.m. And I will tell you what, I would sure love to get some sleep tonight. And that's just not going to happen with me being here. But unfortunately, if I gave you the press pass, they wouldn't let you in because it's got a picture on it. And then I would never be let in Dodger Stadium, probably get ran out of town as well as being fired by our executive producer. So unfortunately, I won't be able to do that. But yeah, and, feel free to share this video as you guys go through with this, and tag your friends. And if you guys want to make fun of me or how I looked, I watched it back yesterday's and I noticed my shirt wasn't tucked in, and Danny Ayala, of course, was wide enough to where it showed that to make me look like a complete slob. And but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. We're back. We're tucked in today. We're doing a little better. And but but feel free to feel free to make fun of me as I go through this. If you guys think my ears are too big for me to be doing this, that's okay too. So I think a lot of the comments that I'm seeing was in regards to the pitching decision, the decision by Dave Roberts to go to the bullpen in that 7th inning after Rich Hill had faced, I believe, 2 batters. He walked one, struck out one, and then he got pulled. So that was there's these little decisions that get made through a series that can really alter the course of it. And it's so crazy how baseball is just such a game of strategy. And you got Alex Cora going up against his former teammate in Dave Roberts. They played together here for the Dodgers, and then both of them actually played in different spans for the Red Sox as well. And now, of course, Alex Cora going up against his good friend Dave Roberts. But these guys want to win. They want to beat each other. There's no funny business going on. These guys really want to win a championship. There's nobody in this stadium that wants to win a championship more than Dave Roberts. But it's about the decisions that you make in trying to get that are either going to be scrutinized or applauded, and that's the challenging part as we go through this stuff. So Jeremiah Roseborough's checking in with some great knowledge from my Instagram page, which is Savi Third still your ringtone? Absolutely, Jeremiah, it still is. He's a young hip-hop artist from Long Beach, and I am really impressed with Jeremiah's knowledge as far as my musical background goes. Sandra checked in with a great question here. Sandra Marie Arroyo asked, what did the players think about the president's tweet? So I know that I looked at it last night after the game. President Trump tweeting essentially, hey, Dave Roberts just took out Rich Hill. He was ripping and doing well, and then brought in the bullpen and things went bad. I'm wondering why he's tweeting about that, but B, I don't know what the players thought about it because I didn't actually ask them. I was up on the field doing live shots while Jim Hill was in the press area doing the interviews and such. But I did read that Dave Roberts was asked about it, and he essentially said, hey, look, everyone has their opinion. Frankly, I'm a bit surprised that anyone even asked him about it. But maybe that's naive of me to think that that's not a question that you would ask in a press conference. It just seems a little silly from my perspective to ask a manager about someone else's thoughts of it. I guess, I don't know, that's just kind of my take on it. But I saw that Dave Roberts did address it, and someone had asked him about it last night, and he essentially said, look, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and he's just one person with an opinion, and obviously when things don't go well, you're going to get scrutinized as a manager, and that's what these guys sign up for. That's what they get paid for, and that's what stresses them out. It's what they have to deal with and battle through all the time. So Taryn Poole is giving me some props for great interaction between us and the CBS Live viewers. Appreciate that. This is something that we haven't done much, but we want to do more of, and part of that is just based on the amount of traffic and views and interaction, engagement that we get with you guys. So this is fun for us to be able to do, and we appreciate you guys just hanging out. I'm literally scrolling through these, just looking through and trying to find question marks as I go through there. There are a lot of comments, but as much as I can see question marks, I'll try to answer those questions. Jose's asking, and this is a great question, what are the vibes in the clubhouse? Are they down on each other? Have they given up on Roberts? And I would say that here's the thing, Jose. No matter what, I think when you're in a must-win game, even if they were feeling down, there's literally no time to truly worry about that, because ultimately you've got the whole offseason to think that way. These games they come so fast. The next game comes so fast. It's like you don't even have time to think about it. Just from a reporter's perspective, literally, we work, we get off, you go home, get something to eat, you go to sleep, you wake up, you get ready, and you do it again. So I don't think that there's a lot of time for Dodger players to worry about maybe how they feel or if they're frustrated with Dave Roberts and that kind of thing. I think Rich Hill touched on this last night, that this was how they got to the World Series, both the way that they approached their at-bats and then also the way that they approach their bullpen selection when they choose to go to the pen, when they choose to pull their starters. So this was a formula that they've used throughout the season and that has got them to this point. You guys and we all can argue till our faces are blue about whether they'd be able to get to this point if they used a different formula. But regardless, this is the formula that they've used. They're in the World Series now because of it, and Rich Hill touched on that last night. He's not going to start criticizing a formula that helped them get here. So I think, yeah, guys were going to be bummed out after that loss last night, especially when you're up 4-0, and they'd been in that situation 54 times this year and had never lost a game like that. So yeah, you're going to be frustrated, but ultimately they know that this is a new day. The sun comes up again, and you've got another opportunity to play on the biggest stage in baseball. I mean, this is what these guys dream of their whole lives. So as frustrated as they could be, I don't think that they're going to let that affect them in today's game. What they've got to do is put that behind them. They literally have no time to worry about that, and I think we touched on that last night. They don't have time to worry about a loss now. It's literally, hey, we've got Clayton Kershaw on the mound tonight. Let's figure it out, and let's get rolling. Danny, why don't we move around a little bit? I figure we can give them, we can walk behind the home plate and give them a quick look at the MLB Network setup as well, and then we can take some more questions on that side of the field as we make our way up the dugout steps. We can even give them a look at the Red Sox dugout as well as we make our way behind home plate and toward the first baseline. You see media members have already set up along the back of the field. And we make our way. All right, I'll see you soon, Mike. Down. You can see media members from both national outlets and then, of course, the local outlets as well from both Los Angeles and Boston as we make our way through here. The enemy, you'll see Patriots shirts and folks representing their Boston roots. I've seen some Celtics shirts as well. Thank you, sir. And really, it looks like kind of the same setup as far as the Red Sox dugout goes. You're not seeing any players. You're just going to see a lot of media members as we take a look at the field. And let's give a quick shout out to some of the grounds crew that keep this field in pristine shape. They've got the right near home plate all kind of covered up, and they've got that hose out to water down the infield grass and dirt as the Dodgers and Red Sox will be tearing this field up once again in Game 5 of this best-of-7 series. Of course, the Dodgers' backs are against the wall now. And I'm just taking a quick gander at the Jumbotrons to say, welcome to Dodger Stadium, Game 5, October 28th, 2018. And as much as, you know, covering this stuff can be a grind, you really got to stop and be grateful for these moments of just getting to cover the biggest spectacle that baseball has, and that is the World Series. You got media members from all over the world coming down here to check this out. I'm going to pull up this Facebook as well. Gus Hernandez checking in. He should be a tour guide at a cemetery. And Gus, I think that's a great statement because A, that's my personality, and B, you know, I think right now there are some people that think the Dodgers are dead in the water, but ultimately, I don't think these guys are done. Obviously, having Clayton Kershaw on the mound tonight gives them that internal confidence of, hey, we've got our guy on the mound. This has been our best pitcher throughout the year, for most of the year. You can certainly make that argument for Walker Buehler as well. But I mean, in terms of recent history, years on years on years, you've got to go with the future Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw. So Looks like some of the Dodgers are starting to sprinkle out. We've got, looks like Pedro Baez is down there in the bullpen, and some guys are starting to toss the ball around. That also looks like maybe Kenta Maeda there on the right. I can't really tell. My eyesight's not great. But Dodgers players starting to work themselves out, starting to get out here and get ready to go. We are still a good 3 hours away from Clayton Kershaw throwing the first pitch of this game in the top of the first inning. So we're just giving you guys, some behind-the-scenes access. And see, this is what I love. Carol White Seeley chimes in with Red Sox, but you all try your best. Good luck. And that's cordial. I just like that, like the polite, hey, this is my team, but give it your best tonight. I love to see that. You don't really see a lot of that on Facebook. Usually it's, and promptly replied to, get out of here, by Juan. So Juan, I'm going to need a little more positivity from you as we try to keep these Facebook comments as cordial as we can. I know it's tough. I know people get fired up in the Facebook comments, but as much as we can, let's try to keep this positive and cordial. Root for your squad. As Dave Schloss chimes in with thanks for the cool coverage. We appreciate you checking in with us, Dave, and everyone on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you guys for just checking this out. We love doing this, giving you guys a behind-the-scenes look. I should say I love sleep a little more, but I still do love doing this. And this is fun to be down on the field before the game starts. And I'm actually surprised. I felt like, yesterday we did this. Probably shouldn't be surprised because yesterday we did this a little closer to game time. And it was packed throughout here. I mean, we could not really even walk through this side. So it's actually kind of nice to do this when you can actually move around and navigate a little bit, a few hours before the game as opposed to yesterday where we were doing it a little more like a couple hours before the game. But I'm still checking through these comments here. Lilo Stitch is asking, do I think that the Dodgers will win today? Last night, I probably would have said no. Excuse me, but today, I feel like there's going to be, at least I hope there's going to be a feeling of, look, let's just leave it all on the line. And we've got Kershaw. Let's just try to get this thing back to Boston, and then back there, anything can happen. Now, obviously, in terms of winning the entire series, they have a huge uphill battle. The Red Sox are literally one of the 12 best teams record-wise to ever play in Major League Baseball. They won 108 games during the regular season. That tied them for 9th all-time with 4 different other teams in that spot. And then once they got to the postseason, they are now 10-3. So essentially, this is one of the most dominant teams that baseball has ever seen. So to expect the Dodgers to win this game and then go win 2 in Boston, there's not a lot of people that would put their money on that circumstance. But ultimately, it starts with one win. And you've got to get the one at home to have that opportunity to go to Boston and try to make a comeback, essentially. So that's what is facing the Dodgers right now. And I feel like this is going to be one of those games where Kershaw, knowing that he did not pitch well in Game 1, remember, gave up 5 runs, 7 hits. I don't remember how many walks he had, but I know that in multiple places during that game, the Red Sox got to him, and he didn't even make it to the 5th inning. So knowing that, I think you will see a better Kershaw today. He's pitching at home. He's not pitching in 40-degree weather. He's at home where he's more comfortable. And I think there's a competitor within Clayton Kershaw, no matter how much his stuff has slowed down or is different than it was in years past. Ultimately, he's a competitor, and that's what's helped him become one of the best pitchers in Dodger history. So knowing that, knowing the struggles that he had in Game 1, I think you will see a different Clayton Kershaw in this game. Hopefully we'll be able to go deeper in this game and won't get that early pull from Dave Roberts to hopefully avoid seeing Kenley Jansen in the 8th inning again. I think if we're seeing that again and I'm hearing California Love, I'm just going to start walking down to the tunnels and get ready for the post-game interviews. Last year when you would hear California Love, it was like, we got this. Yeah, we got it. This is a win. This is in the bag. And now you hear it, it's like, man, we need another song. We got to have a remix or something because this just doesn't have the same feeling anymore. So ultimately, the hope is that Clayton Kershaw can go deeper into the game today and give this Dodgers bullpen a little bit of a break, give Dave Roberts a bit of a break in terms of pulling his starting pitcher so early, and give this Blue Crew a solid chance to get those bats going, get some home runs knocked out. They've hit 2 home runs, I believe, the last 2 games. So my thing is, if those home runs aren't coming, are they going to be able to do some situational hitting like you saw from Justin Turner yesterday? I was really impressed with his at-bats, the way that he was able to go with the pitch and not try to do too much. It seemed like he was one of those guys that was trying to lead by example when he was seeing other guys literally just swinging for the fences every at-bat, whether it was Jock Peterson or Yasiel Puig. And you say that and you have to temper it with, hey, Jock Peterson hit a home run recently and Yasiel Puig hit one last night as well. So it's like, you're going to have to live with some of that, right? But I think there are points in the game, if you've got a guy on first base and no outs, maybe we lay down a bunt. Maybe we try to get him over. And I think that's going to be interesting to see if the Dodgers at least attempt to do anything in that realm tonight, or if they continue to stick with the script. Hey, we led the National League in home runs this year. That's our MO, and we're going to stick with that. So just a couple of things for you guys to look for tonight as the Red Sox try to wrap up this series on Dodger home field, and that's certainly not something that all the fans here waving their blue towels tonight will want to see. Juan Munoz checked in with a much more positive tweet this time, or a much more positive Facebook comment this time, and we love you for that, Juan. Thank you for doing that. Do you think Kershaw is going to opt out? I hope he stays with us. So without looking at the numbers in front of me, I want to say Kershaw's owed like $33 million for each of the next 2 seasons, so like $66 million over 2 years on his deal. Now he can opt out and sign a more long-term deal with a team like the Texas Rangers, a place where he's from, nearby in Dallas. Finish up his career out there with the Rangers. Maybe they'll give him 4 years, 5 years potentially, not for as much money per season, but for a longer-term contract. And that's really the question. As far as whether I think he's going to opt out, Jose, I have absolutely no clue. I mean, there's really no way for me. He's not shared any of that with the media. He's very much I'm only talking about what's right now kind of guy. I don't even think you would get that question answered by him, even if the Dodgers lost tonight. That probably won't be answered literally until he's making the decision whether to opt out and sign with another team or stay here with the Dodgers. Ultimately, that's going to be up to him, but what we do know is he will be starting tonight as the bullpen pitcher is getting ready to go with some sweet goggles on, some kind of like some new remix Eric Gagne goggles on as he gets ready to go. I'm not sure what kind of pitches he's got in his repertoire. I don't know if he's going straight fastballs, circle change, knuckle. I'm not sure about this guy. I didn't get a scouting report on their bullpen pitcher, unfortunately. Our research department, headed up by Evan back at the station, just does not do a good enough job of preparing me for the bullpen pitchers. But everything else, they really line me up and help me out and basically assist me in trying to not act like a complete fool on TV. And now as we look down further the line, we are seeing some epic pre-yoga workout stretches going on as the Dodgers start to loosen up for Game 5 right here at Dodger Stadium. We're not really able to get much closer to that because the ESPN Baseball Tonight setup is where it is, and we can't go into the stands and shoot that. So this is probably as close as we're going to get. And I'm going to just take a quick look over Danny's shoulder to see what the view is. Okay, that's tight enough. They can get a good look for what's going on there, and looks like they're doing a little glute and hamstring activation right now. We got to loosen up those hips, and these are the stretches that I do on a nice leg day at the gym. And right in front of that, so we've got the Dodgers bullpen deal going on. It looks like Tim Lincecum is in a Dodgers hat and Dodgers warm-up shirt as he gets ready to throw bullpen. So once again, the Dodgers will be preying on the evil Giants as Tim Lincecum's stepbrother is stepping up to throw bullpen pitches. But this is going to be an exciting day, of course, as the Dodgers try to stay alive with their backs against the wall, literally. This is a must-win, and we say that all the time in sports. Oftentimes, it's just a cliche that lazy reporters use, but this is really a must-win. As we got a chopper up top now. As Danny gives us a quick look, I'm telling you guys, we have it all covered from the skies. I'm not sure. I haven't yet been able to verify if that's Stu Mandel up there, giving us an all-access look at a police chase or the Dodger game. But we've got it all covered for you, both on the field and in the air. We are sparing no expense. And they're even giving us $15 food vouchers so we can stay fueled up to give you the best behind-the-scenes coverage throughout the day right here on CBS. You got the Twitter, you got Facebook, and you got YouTube as well. But as far as like down here on the field, it's still pretty calm. I know I was supposed to get some interviews, and I don't really know who I'm going to talk to down here because I don't see a familiar face yet. Still pretty quiet. A lot of the Boston media is lined up on this side of the field. And I'm seeing one of the Dodgers coaches has a Think Positive shirt on right here. He's got the bat and he's pulling it behind his head. And at some point, I'm hoping he'll turn around to show you that shirt. And I believe it says Think Positive. And that's a great, there it is, Think Positive. And that's probably the message that is being sent throughout the Dodgers clubhouse today, is just think positive. As the Blue Crew gets ready to rock here, we are still a good, I'm doing math now, which is not my forte at all, but we're still a good 2 hours and 40 minutes away from the first pitch. It looks like those are just Baseball Tonight producers down there. Not any of their actual talent has set up on the MLB Network. I said Baseball Tonight, but I meant MLB Network stage over there. And there aren't any Red Sox players warming up on that right field side as well. So as we see the Dodgers start to work their way in, you've got Jock Peterson, the former Palo Alto High School wide receiver, walking in, and he's wearing the exact same shirt that Walker Buehler was wearing yesterday. It's got Tupac and Dodgers underneath it. Tupac with a bandana wrapped around his head, and now we're seeing Manny Machado as well, and his just says culture. So we've got Think Positive, we've got Tupac, and we've got culture all wrapped into one as the Dodgers are spreading some positivity throughout their clubhouse as they get ready to go here. Jock Peterson is actually catching the BP. I'm not sure if he's going for Yasmani Grandal and Austin Barnes' spot now, or if he's just having some fun. I'm sure he's just having some fun with a big smile as he walks out. And I'm not sure if Manny Machado will get the first hacks here. Haven't yet seen, but Jock Peterson, the new father, I'm complaining about the amount of sleep I'm getting, and here he is, a new dad. I'm wondering how much sleep he's been able to get. But ultimately, no matter how much sleep they're getting, they know that this is do or die. And you can use every sports cliche that comes after that in terms of backs against the wall, must win, win or go home. All of the stuff that lazy reporters like myself like to use to get through and fill sentences as we try to have our stand-ups and wrap up games here at Dodger Stadium. But Jock looks loose, and so do the rest of the guys. And hopefully they're able to play with a sense of urgency, but still not be super tense and tight and trying to do too much in their at-bats. We've seen multiple times Jock, for instance, literally swing and fall to his knee because he's literally just trying to hit the cover off of the ball, and that can be a tough balance as you're looking to help your team, but also not trying to do too much. And the bullpen pitcher's starting to throw some gas now. That guy's feeling good. He's warmed up, and he's got some pep in his step as he gets ready to throw some fire at these Dodgers hitters. Looks like David Freese over there at first. Looks like Max Muncy at second. Yeah, this field is now filling up. As you know, when you guys started with us, it was kind of the calm before the storm, and now you're starting to see some of your favorite players come out on the field, and this gives me a chance to look at some of the questions that you guys are asking and scroll through some of this stuff. Caesar makes a great point. If the Dodgers do not score first, they're done. It's all about momentum. You know, I think that's a solid point. The Red Sox have been so good when they've gotten the lead first at putting teams away, and especially at home after the way that they lost last night. The last thing you want to do tonight is get off to a slow start. The best thing that the Dodgers can do tonight is score first and get this crowd into it. I've been really impressed with, and Dodger fans and LA fans, sports fans in general, get a bad rap for showing up late, leaving early, etc. But I've been really impressed with, especially early in the games, Dodger fans up on their feet with 2 outs and 2 strikes when their team is on defense in the top of an inning, getting up on their feet, waving their blue towels, and really giving this team the energy and the emotion that Kike Hernandez was asking for in the NLCS. And I think that's what's been so great about these fans throughout the World Series, is they really are giving their all to this team. Manny Machado has now begun hitting ropes into left center as he is now in the batting cage, taking BP from Mariano Rivera's doppelganger as he blasts pitches to left field and left center. And hopefully he's able to give them some juice tonight. I'm going to give some a quick peek at some of these comments as well. Are we seeing any quick questions here? I saw another question about Kershaw from, where'd that one go? Lilo Stitch asking about Kershaw. I'm hoping that you were able to hear the breakdown that I gave about Kershaw a bit ago and whether he will opt out of the contract that still has another couple years on it. So hopefully you were able to hear that, Lilo, as we were answering the same question that Juan had sent out. Just taking a gander through these questions, making sure I haven't missed anything. Eddie, that's a great question. So Eddie Neri asked, I think the question is, have the fans given up? What was the mood in the stadium last night? What is the mood now? As we have seen the players do play off the vibe of the crowd, describing the atmosphere, please. So Eddie, I will say this. Last night, of course, we were all looking around and seeing the frustration, especially as the wheels just absolutely came off. You know, it's one thing to surrender a 4-0 lead and lose 5-4 or something like that, but the Red Sox scored 9 runs in the last 3 innings, and I think you saw fans being certainly frustrated as Matt Kemp lays down some bunts. Something I haven't seen probably all season from the Dodgers, as Danny Ayala, our photographer, has been requesting for much of the year. We saw Matt Kemp lay down 1 bunt, and then he gets right back to doing what he's doing, which is swinging away. But, that's a great question. Have the fans given up? I think what you're going to see is this. That's what's so important, what we just talked about, was if the Dodgers can get off to a strong start tonight, the fans will forget about tomorrow, because they know that, just like the players know, this is a do-or-die game. And you've got to win to keep this thing alive. So they're going to give that energy, A, because they know it's win or go home, but B, because they're paying hundreds of dollars at least to come watch this game. So I can't imagine people paying hundreds of dollars and then just showing up and sitting in their seat and being on their phones the whole time and not caring or cheering on their squad. I just don't see that happening. So I don't think the fans have given up, and whether that's by their emotional choice or a financial choice, they will not have given up. But I think it is important to get some extra energy from the fans tonight, and the way you do that is by getting out to an early lead and giving yourselves not only a better chance to beat this really tough Red Sox team, but also to show that, hey, we're still here. Fans, stay in it. We need your energy, and let's keep rocking. So that's a great question there by Eddie. We appreciate you checking in with these guys. Jeremiah Roseborough, this is a great question. Is there beef between reporters that aren't KCAL? So you will hear me all the time talk about the enemy, and that can be, you know, anyone from any station. But ultimately, much of what you will see when you come to these media press conferences, they call them scrums, where like everyone's right up against each other and kind of vying for position. A lot of times local guys that know each other will be there for each other and help each other out. A lot of times what you'll see is sometimes the national media and the local media will have disagreements, and that's where you see a little more hostility, if you will, and a little more words going back and forth. Is some of the national media who haven't been around all year feel like they're owed a certain level of respect, and the local media who has been around all year feel like they deserve a certain level of respect, and sometimes those levels of respect don't vibe with each other. But ultimately, everyone's here to grind, do their jobs, and bring you guys, you know, the best access and interviews and sound bites as we can, and that's ultimately the most important thing. As you're seeing Manny Machado just absolutely rope balls. He's a talent, and no matter what you think about, you know, his hustle and the fact that he can hit a ball to the left field wall and only get a single is going to make some people mad, and rightfully so. But what you're also going to see is that ball getting to the left field wall in the first place, and that comes from the talent that he has, the hitting talent that he has. This is a dude that can absolutely rope, and the Dodgers are a better team with him in the lineup, whether it's at 3 or 4, because of the way that he can hit the ball as Chris Taylor now gets ready to rock. I think Chris Taylor's done a good job as well of taking the same approach that Justin Turner's been taking in the batter's box, which is, I'm going to go with the pitch. I'm going to try to do what I can to get the ball into a place where I can get on. I'm not going to try to do too much. So be interesting to see you know, I'm going to try to take a look to see if the Dodgers starting lineup is out yet, because a lot of this stuff is released in the few hours leading up to a game. As we have been doing this live stuff, haven't been able to so much check this stuff out. But the first thing I'm going to do is pull up Alana Rizzo's Twitter, because I know if it's released, it's going to be released by her. Oh, and you know what? There was a question earlier about the players' reaction to Donald Trump's tweet, and I thought it was a good question. I just didn't have the insight because I wasn't in the post-game questions area after the game. I was on the field. But we do have a tweet from Alana, who, and actually she's tweeting a tweet by Bill Shaken, and Bill is a writer for the Los Angeles Times, and his tweet is Rich Hill on Trump's tweet. It says, quote, "There was a mass shooting yesterday. The focus, in my opinion, of the president is to be on the country and not on moves that are made in a World Series game." End quote. So that was a question that Bill apparently asked, or at least transcribed the response from Rich Hill on Trump's tweet. And I know that was a question that I saw earlier in the Facebook comments, so I just wanted to touch on that. So it just gives you some insight in terms of the kind of questions that players are asked. It's not always just about the game, although typically in the World Series it is, and that's probably why he was a little surprised to be being even asked about that. This is Austin Barnes now at the plate with a Culture shirt on as well, the same shirt that Manny Machado was wearing. So it's the culture with LA underneath it. And I'll look to see if I can get a quick peek at what's on the back of it. Looks like it's a team shirt because a couple guys are wearing it. And it looks, oh, it's Brotherhood. So you got a little Brotherhood and so we got that shirt. We got the Tupac shirt for the Dodgers. That Matt Kemp's also wearing that Tupac Dodgers shirt. So it looks like those are team shirts that have been handed out to the players, and I really got to get my hands on one of those Tupac ones. Starting to, as you can see some fans into the stands as well. Not a ton, but I think most of them are out in the left field and right field bleachers right now as the Dodgers take BP and youngsters are trying to catch a home run. Makes me think back to my days at the time I was living in Washington from like 2nd to 8th grade, and we used to go to the King Dome and watch Ken Griffey Jr. I remember getting a Norm Charlton autograph and being so excited about a Norm Charlton autograph that's worth probably 15 cents now. But getting to see Ken Griffey Jr. back in the day and Edgar Martinez and that squad was something else. And you can get a little jaded from this job because we cover these big events and they become your work. But ultimately, you see the kind of passion that Dodger fans and Red Sox fans have when they come to these games. And just saw a young man out there catch a home run with his glove. So, you know, people are excited to be here. They are knowing that this is as big as it gets as far as baseball goes with the World Series. Hopefully we will see that same fire and same passion from the Dodgers tonight, both at the plate and in the field. I was impressed with the way Max Muncy handled himself at second base yesterday. I thought he did a fine job and was able to get that big left-handed bat in the lineup. So I think that was something that I'll be interested to see what Roberts does in terms of his lineup today. Of course, after the Dodgers lost those couple games to the Red Sox, that a lot of people were clamoring for Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy to be back in the starting lineup. They, of course, were in games 3 and 4. We'll see if they are for 5, as well as Matt Kemp takes some ropes and starts slapping some shots to left and left center. That is an absolute shot. Yeah, that's far up the stands there as Matt Kemp is just unloading. Mariano Rivera is getting blasted right now. 3 straight home runs. Oh, he just missed that one. It looks like Pedro Baez dropped that homer, and we'll see if he turns around and throws it up into the stands. No, he's gonna keep playing catch, which gives me a chance to check in with some of your Facebook comments as well. I'm scrolling through this stuff, seeing as best as I can to make sure that I haven't missed any questions. Debbie asked a great question. Will you be live here during the game? And I apologize for answering this question probably 20 minutes after you gave it, Debbie, but I will not be live during the game. That is against MLB rules. Actually, around 4 o'clock, we will be doing live reports. CBS 2 and KCAL 9 will have coverage for you on this game throughout the night. We have news reporters here and sports reporters as well. So that's something to look forward to throughout the night. But in terms of actually being live during the game, that's not allowed by the Major League Baseball network, if you will, or just the Major League Baseball period. So Oscar Ramirez is asking, is there a voice in the clubhouse that can spark this team and maybe change how this team is being managed? Well, I don't think you're going to change how the team is being managed because that's a separate entity than the actual players. But absolutely, you know, when you've got guys like Matt Kemp, Justin Turner, longtime vets, even a guy like Clayton Kershaw, you know, who's, while he's on the mound and you don't see a lot of it, just seeing the fire that he pitches with when he's coming off of the mound and heading into the dugout, guys feed off of that. And I'm not here to tell you what's being said inside the clubhouse before a game because I've never been in the clubhouse before a game. We're only let in there afterwards. So I can't sit here and claim that I know who is the pregame clubhouse ringleader in terms of getting guys fired up. But in terms of guys playing with emotion on the field, you see that from numerous guys. That's something that's
fun to watch with this group. And anytime you can see guys showing their emotion and being their true selves, I think people feed off that. But ultimately, not ultimately, but in addition to, you also are feeding off these fans. And you can see they're already here. We're still a good, 2.5 hours before this game is starting. And yet, they're already here, catching foul balls and giving their energy. So you can definitely expect more of that tonight, as Chris Taylor is now taking his hacks. But I think, Oscar, that's a great question, and that's something that truly only the team knows, like who that voice is. But just in terms of being around this team and some of the guys that we go to in terms of, speaking and being the voice of the team, Matt Kemp's certainly one of those guys, Justin Turner. There are other guys on this team that, even a guy like Kike Hernandez will step up and say some things as well. So there's numerous voices on this team. I think that's what you're going to see with the baseball squad, a tight-knit group. So be interested to see what kind of fire they come out with today. And it's not just about coming out with the fire, obviously. It's about coming out and being productive as well. Renee Colleen Hunt asked, do you know Stu Mandel of CBS News? And absolutely I do. I think I spotted him earlier today in a chopper. It was about 20 minutes ago we spotted a helicopter. And I can't verify it yet, but it might have been Stu. I'll give it a 10% chance of being Stu. I'm just joking. It didn't have the CBS News insignia on it. But we know that Steve is a beloved member of the company and has more awards than Danny Ayala, our photographer, and I put together. But that's okay. We're all part of the same group, part of the same team, trying to make this all come together for you guys and have some fun with this along the way. Rio Wilshire, what time does the game start? 5:09 first pitch, I believe. I'm going to look just to double check right now. But no, it's later now. I'm being summoned by Dan Frank from Fox Sports that I was absolutely wrong, and I'm going to try to use my phone to pull up as 5:15, 6-minute difference. Dan Frank is all over it. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. The heads up saved me from yet another error on our live webcast right now. So not the 5:09 start that was yesterday, 5:15 for those of you at home that are wondering when this thing is getting underway. So Rio, thank you for that question. Gabe Valdez is asking, is this Tim Tebow? I don't know if he's talking about me or if he's talking about someone that Danny is showing in his camera, but I'm assuming he meant me. And I wish I was 6'3" and 240 pounds or something, whatever Tebow was. I also wish that I had Tim Tebow's money. I also wish that I had Tim Tebow's life. Unfortunately, not Tim Tebow. My name is Kevin Cuenca, and I am a sports reporter for CBS 2 and KCAL 9, and just walking you guys through this is Manny Machado just hit a shot to left, and some older, I believe, gentleman, it's tough to see, but just caught it with his hat. Just stuck the hat out and caught that home run. So fans are having a great time out here, and we're all getting ready for this big game. Even Pedro Baez is throwing balls up into the stands as well. So whether they're catching the home runs or they're getting them tossed to them by Dodger players out in the outfield, this is a special day for all you Dodger fans that are here. This is a special time, and hopefully the Dodgers are able to get this win today and send this thing back to Boston. And then once it's there, who knows what can happen. Scrolling through some of these comments as well now, making sure I haven't missed any questions yet. Liv Berg is thrown in the towel. It's all over. Let's focus on bringing LA a Super Bowl trophy. And Liv, I want to say this. Danny and I have the supreme honor of being on the road with the Rams this season. So he and I are on the team charter plane. We stay in the team hotel. We ride on the buses with them, and we go to cover these games. And it has been such a blast getting to cover that team, and not just because they're winning, which obviously makes it a lot easier, but just their personalities. Sean McVay could not be a nicer head coach. Always very gracious with the time and energy that he gives us the night before the game when we get to ask him a few questions. And it's a team that I believe they're playing the Packers right now. I haven't even been able to look at the score, but that team really does have all the components and the pieces to bring a Super Bowl trophy home. But in the meantime, we're not going to give up on these Dodgers, especially when there's more baseball to be played. Max Muncy will be taking some hacks now against Tim Lincecum. And, of course, I'm joking. That's not really Lincecum, but it does look like him a bit with the hair. Max Muncy laying down some bunts. See, we might have some breaking news here, Danny, that the Dodgers are actually going to lay down a bunt or two today. Haven't seen any of that in this series. Would have loved to, especially when there's been some times with guys on first, no outs, and you need a run at a tight game. But we just haven't seen it. That's okay. Debbie Harris said, "My son will be a ball boy at tonight's game. I hope they can win it while he's there. Go Blue." What a treasured moment for the Harris family as their son gets to be a ball boy for this game. What a treat. Debbie, if you see this or if you hear this, can you try to comment back? Will you also be at the game to document this, or is this just something where I'm just going to assume that you're going to be here to document this and take some pics and stuff, but hopefully you're able to, because that was something really special for that group. Oral Hershiser making his way behind the backstop there. He's right here in the nice navy blue suit there, looking sharp as a tack. Oral Hershiser making his way over to maybe the MLB Network setup. I'm not exactly sure, but he's heading that way. Of course, he does the fine work for Spectrum Sports Net in keeping you guys up to date, doing the color broadcast, play-by-play stuff with Mr. Davis. I believe it's Joe Davis. And I got a thumbs up from Danny, so I got that right. Chase Utley swinging with 2 donuts on his bat, those donuts that add the extra weight. As Kike is in the cage, Chase Utley, a wily UCLA alum, getting ready to go, showing off his fantastic calves. I'm not sure if you can get Danny's got it. See, Danny's just all over it. All I got to do is mention it, and Danny shoots it. So Chase Utley and his calves getting ready to hop in that cage, takes the little donut off the bat, and he's going to get up there and show these youngsters how it's done. And that's how you lay down a bunt. See, back in Chase's day, they still taught that. You could still learn how to bunt back in Chase's day, and all these young bucks are coming into the league, just swinging for the fences, can't get guys over. Chase Utley would have fit right in my Little League baseball team in Chico, Washington State. We had some fine squads. Multi-all-star member talking to you right now on this microphone. Just a humble brag from a former 5th grade all-star member. But great to see Chase. And you know what? That was a great question earlier about who's a voice in the clubhouse that can get these guys thinking positive. And if there's anyone that could do that, it's Chase Utley as well. Because as a veteran, as a guy who's been a part of a World Series champ, he's one of those guys that has the experience. And you've got Dave Roberts talking to him now. Wonder what their conversation is. But ultimately, what you've got in Chase is a true leader. And I'm not sure what his voice is or how he leads, because like I said, I'm not going to pretend like I'm in the clubhouse before the games to truly know who speaks up and who rallies them and who gets them going pregame. But yeah, as we get a shot of Dave Roberts talking to Chase Utley as much as we can without people getting in our way. Looks like we got a couple blockers doing a fine job of shutting down our shot right now. But we're kind of behind this we are behind this blue line, although we can make our way a little more to the left now that the camera's moved, to give you guys an even better look at Dave Roberts chatting with Chase Utley. We'll stay here, like I said, until we get kicked out, because that's just what we do. We push the envelope, and we get as far as we can until someone tries to smack us up in the head, and then Danny comes to my defense, and we do what we do best. But in the meantime, you can see the Dodgers getting ready, and I'm trying to see what Kike's shirt says. It's a Chase Utley shirt. So Kike Hernandez is wearing a T-shirt. It's going to be tough to shoot it through the cage at this point. But it literally just says Chase Utley and has a picture of Chase Utley there. I'm not sure what else it says on there, but pretty funny that Kike Hernandez is wearing a Chase Utley T-shirt as he gets ready.
He's a shoot. He's a shoot.
And seriously, hey, at any time, I'm speaking to some Boston media now. Anytime you guys need us to move, just slap us in the back of the head or tell us to move.
Okay,
Just,
the Godfather.
yeah.
We do it for the Godfather. Right.
Yeah.
We don't mess around.
Right. Thank you, guys. As we give you guys a behind-the-scenes look, we're trying not to make these Boston media members too mad at us, but we want to flex our muscles a little bit too. And Danny's getting loose, and he's feeling good. He's feeling himself as we get some good shots for you guys as we prepare you for Game 5 right here at Dodger Stadium. Again, I'm going out. Oh, so we've got Eddie chiming in with the lineup. David Freese, Justin Turner, Kike Hernandez, Machado, Muncy, Puig, Taylor, Barnes, and Kershaw. So Eddie, thank you for checking in with that lineup. As I'm doing this live stuff, I'm not able to always check what's coming out and what's being released to the media. So thank you for doing that, man. That is a huge plus for us as we go through this. And I want to make sure, it looks like the thing, I'm not seeing myself live anymore. So I'm not sure if that means it's cut off or what. We are now, man, we've been doing this for a good, 45 minutes, Danny? Yeah, it seems like it. I'm not sure that I'm getting any new questions. If anybody can see this, we're still getting more questions. I think maybe just the live video component cut off. If you guys can let me know, so Eddie's watching in 3 feeds. Eddie, can you let me know if you are seeing a Facebook live feed right now, or if you're getting it from YouTube and Twitter now at this point? Eddie is now our producer. So Eddie, just send an invoice to CBS at some point, and you can try to get double time pay as well, since this is hazard pay at this point. But yeah, we're still up, and we're still up on Facebook, right, Eddie? Yeah, so Enrico's checking in with looks okay too. So both of you guys, send that invoice to CBS. Let them know they owe you some money for being our on-site producers. I just wanted to make sure, because earlier today I was able to see myself live in the video component, and now it's just got a play button where I can hit play. So I just wanted to make sure that we could still see it and that it was all coming back through. So we've got people checking in from West Tennessee and all around the nation as everyone chimes in and checks in, getting ready for Game 5 right here at Dodger Stadium. So thank you all for checking in and chiming in. So interesting here, as Eddie pointed out in the lineup, and I'm going to, usually as a reporter you're supposed to verify something with a second person, a second source, but I'm going to take Eddie's word for it, and I'm not seeing Cody Bellinger in the starting lineup. So Roberts is taking out one of those left-handed power bats, a guy who was the NLCS MVP, and he will not start in this game, just like he didn't start in games 1 and 2. However, Max Muncy will remain in the starting lineup. So still has that one left-handed power hitter that he wants to keep in while taking Cody Bellinger out. So just an interesting little tidbit in that starting lineup for the Dodgers. Also, Jock Peterson not in that starting lineup. So just some moves that Roberts is making, taking out some left-handed bats. You know what I should do right now is take a look, because last night the Red Sox had not released their probable pitcher, and so today the Red Sox are going with David Price. So as the left-handed starting pitcher, that's why you're seeing some of these left-handed bats being taken out of the lineup in Cody Bellinger and Jock Peterson. So that's the chess match that is baseball, if you will. Is, you know, historically left-handed hitters don't hit as well against left-handed pitchers, and that's what you're seeing in terms of the representation in the right-handed and left-handed bats right here at Dodger Stadium. I'm listening in on the Boston media. Just did a live shot saying that Alex Cora is finishing up his pre-game press conference. So just to give you kind of some insight in terms of the setup, the scenario here. None of the Red Sox players are on the field yet. It's just all Dodgers at this point. But what what's something to know is that Alex Cora is giving his press conference. So you're seeing the pre-game comments. That's where the kind of the schedule is at this point with the Red Sox, as the Dodgers are actually out on the field getting ready to go. And Kike Hernandez takes his hacks in a Chase Utley t-shirt with Chase Utley literally 7 feet away from him. Pretty cool. Max Muncy also getting ready to go. He will be in the starting lineup as the manager of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, chooses to leave that left-handed bat in while taking Jock Peterson and Cody Bellinger's left-handed bats out of the lineup. In terms of the way that the rest of this thing shapes out, as you see, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right-handed bats. The only 2 left-handed bats in the starting lineup are Clayton Kershaw and Max Muncy. So David Price getting the start is why you're seeing that. And remember, David Price was really good in his first start against the Dodgers in this World Series. He really commanded well, and I know that he's had his struggles in the postseason, just like Clayton Kershaw has, but David Price did a much better job in his outing in Game 2, I believe. That was, seems like 8 weeks ago that start happened, but that's when it did happen, and we'll see if David Price is able to have a repeat performance tonight, or if he'll come back to the mean a little bit and regress to the mean and pitch more like he's done in past postseason appearances. As Muncy takes his chops and rips and hacks and hits an absolute moonshot. This guy's got incredible power, and he helped the Dodgers lead the National League in home runs this year. Hopefully he can get another one tonight, just like Kike got last night. As I check down this lineup, Chase Utley, you're right, is not on the postseason team, but he's here. And I think that's the thing what I was talking about, is not that he was going to be some big player for them. But the question earlier was, who are the voices that can step up in this time, in this challenging time for the Dodgers, and be that voice of reason, be that leading voice. Absolutely know that Chase isn't on the roster, but he's still here with the team. He's still in the clubhouse, and who knows if at some point, whether it's already happened or if it'll be tonight, he could step to this team and say, look, I've been here before. Here's the mindset that we need tonight. Let's go get him. So just giving you guys some access, some behind-the-scenes look here as the Dodgers get ready to go in Game 5. Eddie is an absolute beast in these Facebook comments right now, as he sent me the full lineups, batting order, positions, everything, per MLB.com. So Eddie, you definitely need to get paid for this work that you're doing, this fine work. As we get ready, I really couldn't do this without you, man. You are an angel from the heavens. As we get ready for this game, as you give me these rosters and these batting lineups. So David Freese will get to lead off. We've seen Jock Peterson in that role as well. David Freese will get that opportunity today. Of course, with the left-handed pitching, David Price getting the start for the Red Sox. Dave Roberts is going with a heavy right-handed lineup right here at Dodger Stadium. That yawn is because I am sleep fatigued, I am food famished, and we're just ripping and running. This is what we do. I can't complain because Danny's not complaining. All he does is just keep coming, keep grinding, keep pressing record and getting the shots that we need as we continue to give this behind the scenes look for you guys. This is a great question too from Eddie. Do you know if Dodgers had a team meeting? And I think that would depend on the definition that you would give a team meeting, whether it was a players only meeting or a, hey, let's come together guys kind of meeting. I think at this point, it's not so much about that. I think it's more about, hey, we got to take care of business on the field. You're going to have multiple moments leading up to a game where the team comes together, you break down, hey, 1, 2, 3 Dodgers, 1, 2, 3 runs, 1, 2, 3 defense, that kind of stuff. But ultimately, these guys talk to each other, and they know each other, and it really, truly comes down to who can execute out there on the field. Like last night, Danny, why don't we give this guy a little space here as we make our way around so they can work. We're all in the way now. As we kind of give you guys this behind-the-scenes look, as we get to this point in the season and this point in the World Series, you know, if Dave Roberts had made that decision and Alexander comes in and throws a gem, what's up, Ash? If he throws a gem, or if following him, Ryan Madsen does what he's supposed to do, what he's paid to do, then Dave Roberts isn't criticized the way that he is. So ultimately, it's not so much about words at this point. It's about guys going out and executing. And obviously, the criticism that comes toward Dave Roberts after a decision like that is what comes with it. He knows that is part of the job. He's going to make his decisions, and for good or for bad, he'll roll with them. But ultimately, I don't know that it's about team meetings at this point. I think ultimately it's about which team is going to execute down the stretch, which team is going to be mentally tough enough because it's easy to say all the right things before the game. What's really challenging is to stay in those moments and stay calm, cool, and collected when the Red Sox start to roll like they did in those final 3 innings. That's the challenge. It's like once things start to get really tough, does your group stick together in those moments? I think that's when the team personalities and the words amongst each other become really important. Not so much, obviously they're important before a game, but they pale in comparison to when the Bulls start flying and things get real out there on the field. Once again, this is Kevin Cuenca with you from CBS here in Los Angeles. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, showing you Dave Roberts as his squad just finished taking batting practice and getting ready for Game 5 of the World Series. And I haven't seen who he's talking to yet because he hasn't turned around. But ultimately, yeah, and Friedman is there next to him, the GM of the Dodgers. So you're seeing the Dodgers decision makers, you know, a couple hours before this game starts now. We're at 3:08 and the first pitch is at 5:15. We're at 3:08 now, and the first pitch is at 5:15, not 5:09, as was last night. So this guy giving you this all-access look as the things start to get real. I'm sure that shortly the Red Sox players and staff will come out onto this field as well as they get ready to rock and try to clinch this thing and try to celebrate a World Series championship on the Dodgers home field, something that was done last year by the Astros after Game 7. The Red Sox will try to do the same thing tonight in Game 5. Of course, if the Dodgers are able to win, they'll send this thing back to Boston for Game 6 and a possible Game 7. So that's the scenario right here at Dodger Stadium as we get you all set and ready for this. So thank you all for hanging out, for chiming in with questions, statements throughout this last 45 minutes that we've been live with you guys here on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. I really appreciate the questions. I know that if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, I apologize for not being able to check those questions as well, but we are getting some great feedback and help by Eddie Neary on Facebook as we give this behind the scenes look and get you guys ready for this. As Alex Cora, the Boston Red Sox manager right here, is greeting with Dave Roberts. They give a nice little hug there. So these guys are buddies, and as much as fans want to give Dave a tough time for his relationship with Cora or his relationship with the Red Sox faithful, it's just not fair. Ultimately, these guys want to win above friendship, above everything else. They're here to win a World Series for their organization. And Dave isn't going to let his friendship with an Alex Cora or anyone within the Red Sox keep that from getting in the way of his ultimate goal and the team's ultimate goal of winning a championship. So just a little glimpse into their relationship between Dave and Alex as they get to hang a bit before the game. But ultimately, these guys are competitors, and they want to beat each other more than fans want to get the win as well. So we know you guys are passionate. You guys want to see your Dodgers succeed, but ultimately, Dave wants to win more than any of us. So we'll see if they're able to get it done tonight. If they go with the same MO in terms of an early hook on the starting pitcher, I'm assuming they'll give more of a leash to Clayton Kershaw as he gets ready to go and try to redeem himself, if you will, after that struggling start in Game 1 where he gave up 5 runs, did not make it to the 5th inning, and gave up 7 hits as well. So I look to see a sharper Clayton Kershaw today. I think he probably understated the effect that the colder temperatures in Boston would have on his pitching, because, I mean, if you're asking him before a game, hey, is this cold going to affect you? The last thing you're going to say is, yeah, I hate pitching in this cold. It's tough to throw my curve. It's tougher to grip the ball, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, there is some truth to that. And I think what you'll see is a much more comfortable Clayton Kershaw in a home crowd, not dealing with the rowdy Red Sox fans as much, and see if he's able to come out, give a stronger pitching performance, go deeper in the game, allow Roberts to not have to make the same tough decisions in the bullpen, and come out on top. Of course, that remains to be seen, and that's the challenge that faces challenge that faces Roberts and company. Joe Kennedy chimes in with a great statement here, which is, when I was a child and sad, Mom made hot chocolate and cookies for me. I hope the Dodgers have a mommy who loves them as well. And first of all, Joe, you're a lucky man to have your mom there with you to make those cookies and hot cocoa for you when times got tough. These guys are well taken care of. Whenever they want a hot cocoa or some cookies, I'm sure they're close by. But ultimately, you're right. And I think, that we start that with a joke, but ultimately it comes back to this. That's what home field advantage is about. You're sleeping in your bed. It's your routine. You're here in front of the home fans where most of the crowd is going to love you. So that's the thing about playing at home that can give the Dodgers a boost in this game. And I think that's a great point that you touched on, Joe. I know it started with a personal story, but ultimately it's how does that correlate to this Dodger team? And the way it correlates is these guys are home. If they want their wife or their mom to come by with some cookies, most of them could have that done because they're at home. They're not in Boston. So hopefully the Dodgers are well taken care of and ready to rock, feeling rejuvenated after a tough loss last night, because ultimately they've got the rest of the offseason to be tired. This is not the time to worry about if you're tired or you're hurt, and I can speak to that from my own lack of sleep and hunger that Danny Ayala right next to me is feeling as well. So we'll see what they're able to do. Andres Racinos chimes in with, today you guys will, lost again. So I'm gonna grammatically check you first. It's lose again, Andres. So if you're gonna talk trash, you gotta do it grammatically correct, or I'm gonna come after your head. But in addition to that, you don't know that, bro. You don't know that, Andres. Ultimately, the Dodgers can come right back like they did in Game 3 and get a win right here at Dodger Stadium. And if I had to put some money on it, that's what I would do, but I would certainly not endorse any of such activities. I'm just kind of making my way through some of this stuff. Danny, is there anything that you want to see or show that you feel like I've been hindering you from doing so?
You're on it, baby.
You know, I mean, I think we're given as much of a behind-the-scenes look. And I will say this, as we take a quick gander around the field, for those of us who were with us about 45 minutes ago when we first started, you can certainly see how this field has become much more populated by the media, and now it's an absolute zoo, and it looks a lot like it did yesterday when we were getting ready to go and doing this live stuff yesterday. So definitely wanted to give you that final look around the field. The Dodgers have done their BP. Dave Roberts and Alex Cora and Friedman having a chat here as they get ready to go to battle and fans start to come in. Baseball Tonight crew's doing their thing, MLB Network crew doing their thing, and the rest of the national and local media chiming in as well. So here's the thing, guys. I've got to be on live TV in 45 minutes and need to talk to producers and get all set for that live shot as well. So in the meantime, I just want to thank you guys all for checking this out. You've been with us on Twitter, on Facebook, and YouTube. This is something that we haven't done too much of, but have absolutely enjoyed it, especially today with the interaction from all of you guys on Facebook, the field producers that have helped us, sending us starting lineups and batting orders and all that. Thank you guys so much for being with me and helping me out with this, but also asking questions and rooting for your team in the comments as well and keeping it civil. I think we did a good job of like no name calling and none of that crazy stuff, which for Facebook comments is saying something. So applaud all you guys for your great engagement and interaction as we've done this. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And remember, on CBS 2 and KCAL 9, we will have coverage of this Game 5 throughout the night on multiple shows, news shows, Sports Central as well. So just stay with us throughout the night, and we will have you all covered post-game, both with Jim Hill, our sports director, and myself, and then people in the studio and the set as well. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. We'll see you next time. We appreciate you checking in with us.